Massive silver ship descended through the clouds above Busan like a falling star. It was the year 2147, and humanity was about to meet its first aliens. The whole world watched through cameras and satellites as the vessel landed softly on the specially built landing platform near the ocean. Captain Park Doyen stood at the front of the welcome committee. He was a tall man with sharp eyes and a calm face that never showed fear. Beside him stood Lieutenant Yoon Ji-soo, a young woman known for her quick thinking and sharp mind. Behind them waited dozens of soldiers, scientists, and politicians from every nation on Earth. "They're opening the door," Ji-soo whispered. The ship's side split open with a soft hiss. Bright white light poured out. Then came the aliens. The Volari were beautiful in a strange way. They stood over 2 meters tall, but looked like they were made of paper and glass. Their bodies were thin, almost see-through, with long limbs that seemed too delicate to support anything. Their skin was pale blue. Their large eyes reflected the Korean sunlight like mirrors. Ambassador Terrell walked at the front. He wore flowing robes of silver and gold, and a device on his neck translated his words into perfect Korean and English. Behind him came 11 other delegates, all walking with the slow grace of dancers. "People of Earth," Terrell said, his translated voice smooth and kind. "The Volari Collective welcomes you to the galactic community. We have watched your species with great interest." And he stopped. His legs bent in a way they should not bend. His body trembled. "Ambassador." Doyon stepped forward. Terrell collapsed. It happened so fast that nobody could react. One moment the Volari delegation was standing proud and tall. The next moment they were falling like puppets with cut strings. Their thin legs snapped. Their arms broke as they tried to catch themselves. Blue blood spread across the white landing platform. "Medical teams!" Doyen shouted. "Get medical teams here now!" Chaos erupted. Human doctors rushed forward, but they did not know how to help. The aliens screamed in pain, their translator devices turning their cries into horrible digital sounds. Some of them stopped moving. Others kept trying to stand, only to break more bones. Jisoo grabbed Do-yoon's arm. "Sir, look at them. They can't handle it." "Handle what?" "The gravity," she said. "Earth's gravity is crushing them." Doyon watched in horror as he understood. These beings came from somewhere else, somewhere with much weaker gravity. To them, Earth was not a welcoming planet. It was a death trap. Within 10 minutes, 9 of the 12 Volari delegates were dead. Their bodies had simply failed under the weight that humans carried every day without thinking. Ambassador Terrell survived only because soldiers quickly carried him back into his ship. Where the gravity was different, the 3 survivors floated in emergency medical pods that the ship created for them. These pods used strange technology to reduce gravity inside, allowing the broken aliens to breathe without their lungs collapsing. Doyon was allowed to enter the ship to speak with Tyrell. The inside was strange and uncomfortable. The gravity was so weak that Doyon felt like he might float away. He had to hold onto the walls to walk. The ambassador floated in his pod, his body wrapped in glowing bandages. His eyes, still beautiful despite the pain, fixed on the human captain. "You knew?" Terrell said. His voice was weak, but filled with anger. "You knew this would happen." "We had no idea," Dojin said honestly. "We didn't know your biology. We didn't know about the gravity difference." "We thought you thought nothing," Terrell interrupted. "Your species lives on a death world, a planet where the very ground tries to crush all life. And you brought us here without warning. Ambassador, please understand. This was a mistake. A terrible accident. We want peace." Terrell laughed, but the laugh turned into a cough that brought more blue blood to his lips. "Peace. Look at what your world did to my delegation in mere moments. 9 dead, 3 broken. And you speak of peace? We can find a way. We can meet on your ships, or on space stations, or the collective has existed for 12,000 years, Terrell said. We have brought 3,000 species into our family. Never in all that time have we encountered anything like your world, like your people." He paused, his eyes growing colder. "You are not a species. You are monsters wearing skin. Your bodies are weapons shaped by a planet that hates life. Doyan felt Jisoo tense beside him. He kept his own face calm. We are what our world made us. That does not make us monsters. The collective will decide what you are. Terrell raised one broken hand and pressed something on his pod. Leave my ship. This first contact is over. But know this, human. The collective will not forget what happened here today. Your death world will be ... addressed. Outside, Doyan and Jisoo watched the silver ship rise back into the sky. It moved slowly at first, then faster and faster, until it disappeared into the darkness of space. That went badly, Jisoo said. That's one way to put it. Sir, what did he mean by addressed? Doyan did not answer for a long moment. He looked at the blood still staining the landing platform. He thought about how easily those beings had broken, how their bones had snapped like dry sticks, how their bodies had failed under a weight that every human child learned to carry from birth. Lieutenant, he said finally, I need you to think about something, sir. If these aliens cannot stand on our planet for 5 minutes without dying, what happens when they send soldiers? He turned to look at her. What happens when they send ships? Jisoo's eyes widened as she understood. They won't be able to invade us. They physically cannot. But they can bomb us from orbit. They can send robots or machines. They can poison our air or our water. Doyan started walking toward the command center. We need to prepare. If they see us as monsters, they will try to kill us like monsters. And we need to be ready to prove them right if necessary. You think it will come to war? I think they've already decided we're dangerous. And dangerous things, in their minds, need to be destroyed. He stopped and looked back at the sky where the ship had vanished. The question is not if they will attack. The question is when. And when they do, they will learn something important about the monsters of Earth. What's that? Doyan's eyes hardened. We hit back. The news of what happened at Busan spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within days, every species in the Valari collective had heard the story. But the story they heard was not the truth. In the great halls of the collective senate, Ambassador Terrell spoke to representatives from 3,000 worlds. His body was still broken, held together by machines and floating in his medical pod. But his voice was strong with anger. They knew, he told the Senate. The humans knew their world would kill us, and they invited us anyway. They watched us die and did nothing. They are not a primitive species seeking friendship. They are predators who lured us into a trap. The Senate chamber was enormous, filled with beings of every shape and size. There were tall creatures like the Valari, short round beings that rolled instead of walked, floating things that looked like clouds with eyes, and countless others. But they all had one thing in common. None of them came from a world with gravity stronger than half of Earth's. We have studied their planet, said a Valari scientist. The gravity's twice what we consider maximum for life. Their air is thick with oxygen, a dangerous gas that burns and destroys. Their star bathes them in radiation that would kill most species in ours. And yet these humans not only survive, they thrive. Fear moved through the Senate like a wave. Their bodies are weapons, the scientist continued. Their bones are 5 times denser than ours. Their muscles can lift weights that would require our strongest machines. Their hearts pump blood with enough pressure to burst our blood vessels. They can run for hours without stopping. They can survive injuries that would kill any of us instantly. How is this possible? Asked a senator from a water world. How can life evolve under such conditions? Because their world is trying to kill them, Terrell answered. Every moment of every day, Earth's gravity pulls them toward death. Every breath of their air could poison them if they breathe too much. Their planet has ice at the poles and fire at the center. It shakes and breaks and floods and burns. And through all of this, the humans survive. They adapt. They grow stronger. They are monsters, someone shouted. Yes, Terrell agreed. And now these monsters have seen us. They know we exist. They know we are weak compared to them. How long before they come for us? The vote was quick and unanimous. Every species agreed. Earth was a threat that must be eliminated before humanity could spread beyond their system. The purification fleet would be assembled. 200 of the collective's most, Powerful warships would travel to the human homeworld and end the threat forever. On Earth, the humans had no idea what was coming. But they were not stupid. They were not unprepared. Dr. Kong Yoonji worked in a secret laboratory beneath Seoul. She was a xenobiologist, scientist who studied alien life. For 3 months after the Busan incident, she had studied every piece of Volari technology left behind. She had analyzed the blood of the dead aliens. She had decoded their language and read their databases. Now she stood before the United Earth Council with her findings. The Volari collective controls approximately 1/3 of this galaxy, she reported. They have existed for 12,000 years and include 3,000 member species. They have technology far beyond ours in many areas. Faster than light travel, energy weapons, medical science, and communication systems. That sounds bad for us, said General Baek Sunho. He was an old soldier with gray hair and scars on his face. It would be Yoonji, agreed. Except for one thing. Every single species in the collective evolved on low-gravity worlds. The highest gravity any of them can handle is 0. 5G, half of Earth's. Most of them come from worlds with 0.2 or 0.3G. The council members looked at each other. What does that mean for their military? The general asked. Everything. Yoonji pulled up charts and data on the screen. Their ships are designed for creatures that cannot handle strong forces. Their pilots cannot make sharp turns or sudden stops without passing out or dying. Their soldiers cannot carry heavy armor or weapons. Their entire military technology is built around their physical weakness. And us. Humans can survive forces up to 9G for short periods. Our fighter pilots regularly handle 6 or 7G. Our soldiers carry equipment that weighs more than some alien species' entire bodies. And she smiled. General, if it comes to a fight, we have advantages they cannot match. They have better technology. But we have better bodies. General Baek stood and walked to the window. Outside, the city of Seoul glowed in the night. Millions of people living their lives unaware of the danger coming from the stars. They see us as monsters, he said quietly. Yes, sir, maybe they're right. He turned back to face the council. In nature, monsters survive. They adapt. They win. He put his hands on the table and leaned forward. I recommend we begin immediate military preparation. We build ships that use our physical advantages. We train soldiers for space combat. We prepare to fight a war we did not start, but will absolutely finish. You want to strike first? Asked a council member.
No.
I want to strike back. And I want to strike so hard that no one in this galaxy ever thinks about attacking Earth again. The general's eyes were cold. They're coming to purify us. To wipe us out like a disease? Fine. Let them come. And let them learn what it means to fight the monsters of Earth, Council voted. The decision was made. Earth would prepare for war. In shipyards on the Moon and Mars, construction began on a new kind of warship. These were not elegant vessels designed for comfort. They were brutal machines built for humans, small, dense, fast, and deadly. Their pilots would pull turns that would kill any Volari crew. Their soldiers would fight in conditions that no alien could survive. The galaxy thought humanity was primitive. They thought humans were just animals on a death world. Barely smart enough to reach their own moon, they were wrong, and soon. They would understand exactly how wrong they were. The purification fleet arrived on a cold morning in January. 200 Volari warships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Their silver hulls catching the distant light of the sun. They were beautiful ships, long and graceful, designed by species that valued elegance over strength. Admiral Vorn, commander of the fleet, looked at the small blue planet on his screen. Such a tiny world. Such a dangerous world. Begin the approach, he ordered. Standard purification formation. We will position ourselves in high orbit and begin bombardment within 6 hours. His officers moved to obey. None of them expected any real resistance. The humans had barely reached Mars. They had no fleet to speak of. This would be an execution, not a battle. They were very Very wrong. Hidden in the shadow of Earth's moon, Commander Choi Murray watched the enemy fleet approach. She was a small woman with short black hair and eyes that never seemed to blink. Behind her, 11 other ships waited in perfect darkness, the entire human stealth squadron. "They're coming in exactly as predicted," said her sensor officer. "High approach, slow speed, tight formation." "Of course they are," Murray said. "They think they're safe. They think nothing down here can touch them," she smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Let's teach them about gravity." The plan was simple, but brutal. Human ships were small, built for crews that could handle extreme forces. They would use Earth's gravity like a weapon, swinging around the planet at speeds the Volari could not match, then striking the enemy fleet from unexpected angles. All ships. "Begin Operation Black Tide," Murray ordered. "Remember your training. Trust your bodies. And show these aliens what humans can do." 12 ships dropped toward Earth. They fell like stones, letting the planet's gravity grab them and pull them faster and faster. Inside, human pilots felt the pressure build 3G, then 5G, then 8G. Their vision narrowed. Their bodies screamed. But they held on. The Volari sensors did not even register them as threats. The speeds were too high. The approach angles were impossible. No living creature could survive such forces. And then the human ships fired. The first wave of missiles struck the rear of the Volari formation. 3 ships exploded before anyone understood what was happening. Admiral Vorn stared at his screen in shock as more of his vessels died. "Where are they coming from?" he demanded. "Below us, Admiral." "From the planet. They're using the gravity well as a weapon. It's possible. Nothing can survive those G-forces." But the humans could, and they were just getting started. Murray's ship screamed through the Volari formation, firing as it passed. She pulled a turn at 12G, her body feeling like it weighed 1,000 kilograms. Blood tried to drain from her head, but she had trained for this. Her flight suit squeezed her legs and stomach, keeping the blood where it needed to be. Her vision went gray at the edges, but she never lost consciousness. Behind her, a Volari ship tried to follow. Its pilot pulled 4G and passed out instantly. The ship drifted, helpless, until a human missile found it. "Boarding teams, prepare for deployment," Murray ordered. "Target the command ships." On the assault ship, Dokdo, Sergeant Han Taeyang checked his weapon one final time. He was a big man, tall and thick with muscle, the kind of soldier who looked like he was made from rock. His team waited beside him, 20 of Earth's finest warriors. "Remember," he told them, "these aliens break easily. Don't use full strength unless you have to. We want prisoners for information." The Dokdo attached to a Volari cruiser with a grinding crash. Cutting tools sliced through the alien hull like paper. The gravity inside the enemy's ship was barely noticeable to the humans, like walking on the moon. But to them, humans were nightmares. Taeyang led his team through the breach. Volari soldiers tried to stop them. They fired energy weapons that burned and cut. But they were slow, so terribly slow. And their weapons were designed for enemies as weak as themselves. A Volari soldier swung a blade at Taeyang's head. He caught the alien's arm and squeezed. The bones inside crumbled like dry bread. The alien screamed and fell. "Sorry," Taeyang muttered. "Forgot my own strength." "Ah, she is." His team moved through the ship like ghosts of death. The Volari could not fight them. They could not run from them. In the low gravity, humans could jump 10 meters in a single leap. They could throw enemies across rooms with one hand. They could survive wounds that would kill any alien instantly. Within 20 minutes, the cruiser was captured. Its crew surrendered, too broken and terrified to resist. Across the battlefield, the same scene repeated. Human ships danced through the Volari formation, pulling maneuvers that killed alien pilots without firing a shot. Human boarding teams captured ship after ship, bodies proving to be the ultimate weapon. Admiral Vorn watched his fleet die around him. He had brought 200 ships to purify a primitive world. Now he had fewer than 60, and more were falling every minute. "Retreat," he ordered, his voice hollow with shock. All ships retreat immediately. The survivors ran. They fled toward the edge of the solar system as fast as their ships could carry them. Behind them, 147 Valari vessels drifted dead in Earth's orbit, destroyed not by superior technology, but by creatures who could survive what no others could. Commander Murray watched them go. Her body ached from the G-forces. Blood dripped from her nose where small vessels had burst, but she was smiling. "This is Stealth Squadron to Earth Command," she reported. "The Purification Fleet has been neutralized. I repeat, the enemy is neutralized. Casualties minimal. Victory is ours." On Earth, people who had hidden in fear now came out to look at the sky. They could see the flashes of destroyed ships, the debris falling like shooting stars. They had been told they would die today. Instead, their soldiers had won a victory. That would echo across the galaxy. The monsters of Earth had shown their teeth, and the galaxy would never forget the survivors of the Purification Fleet broadcast their defeat across the galaxy. They sent recordings of the battle, data from their sensors, medical reports of the dead. Every species in the Valari Collective watched in horror. As they learned the truth about humanity, the footage showed human ships moving at impossible speeds, pulling turns that crushed Valari pilots to death inside their own cockpits. It showed human soldiers walking through Valari ships like giants among children, their bodies unaffected by weapons that should have stopped them. It showed beings that could bleed and still fight, that could break bones and keep moving, that could survive conditions that would kill any other species instantly. "They are not just strong," said a Valari scientist in a broadcast to the Senate. "They are built for war in ways we cannot comprehend." Their entire evolution was a war against their own planet. They developed bodies that can heal damage in days that would take us months to repair. They can operate without sleep for longer than most species can stay conscious. They feel pain, but they ignore it. They fear death, but they fight anyway. The word spread from world to world. The humans were coming, and they were. Admiral, no. Gugan stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, the first true warship humanity had ever built for interstellar combat. It was not beautiful. It was not elegant. It was a machine designed by humans for humans, dense, tough, and deadly. Behind her ship came 30 others, each one carrying soldiers and weapons. They were heading for the nearest Valari system, a place called Harmony Station, the biggest trading hub in this sector of the galaxy, Admiral said, her communications officer. "We're receiving transmissions from the station. They're begging us not to attack." Gian looked at the screen. Harmony Station was huge, a ring of metal and glass floating around a small star. Millions of beings lived there, from dozens of species. They had done nothing wrong. They were not soldiers or threats. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let them hear me." Her voice went out across space. "This is Admiral Nogian of the United Earth Fleet. We are not here to destroy you. We are not here to conquer you. We are here because your collective tried to kill our world, and we need to make sure that never happens again. Surrender the station peacefully, and no one will be harmed." The station surrendered within the hour. No shots were fired. When human soldiers stepped onto Harmony Station, the residents stared at them with terror in their eyes. They had heard the stories. They expected monsters, killers, demons from a death world instead. They found soldiers who helped injured civilians, who shared food and water, who spoke gently to frightened children. The humans were strong, yes. They were dangerous, certainly. But they were not cruel. "I don't understand," said a young Valari trader to Sergeant Han Taiyang. "We tried to kill your people. Why are you being kind to us?" Taiyang thought about it. He was carrying a container of medical supplies that would have required for Valari to lift. To him, it weighed almost nothing. "Because that's what strength is for," he said finally. "The weak hurt others because they're scared. The strong protect others because they can. We're strong. So we protect." The trader stared at him. "Your people are very strange." "Yeah," Taiyang agreed. "We get that a lot." Back on Earth, engineer Shin Woo-gin worked day and night in his laboratory. He had captured Valari technology to study, and what he found amazed him. Their engines were faster than anything humans had built. Their weapons were more efficient. Their computers were more advanced, but all of it was designed for weak bodies. It's like they never imagined anyone would. Need to handle more than 3G? He reported to Dr. Kong Hoonji. All their safety systems are built around that limit. If we redesign their technology for human bodies, we can make it so much more effective. Hoonji nodded. Do it. Build us weapons they can't match. Build us ships they can't catch. Build us an army that will make them understand. Understand what? That we're not the monsters they fear. She smiled. We're worse. We're the monsters they can't defeat. Across the galaxy, the word spread about the humans. They were not just conquerors. They were liberators. For thousands of years, the Valari Collective had ruled through control. Species that joined were protected but never free. They had to follow Valari laws, pay Valari taxes, serve Valari interests. Those who refused were destroyed, but now there were beings who could resist. Beings who could fight back. Beings who could not be crushed. On a dozen worlds, enslaved species watched the news and began to hope. If the humans could defeat the collective, maybe freedom was possible. Maybe the galaxy did not have to be ruled by those who were simply first to the stars. A new phrase entered. Galactic Common, gravity-born. It was spoken in whispers at first, in dark corners and hidden meetings. It meant humans, but it meant more than that. It meant beings forged by hardship, beings who did not break, beings who could carry the weight of the galaxy on their shoulders. The Valari Collective began to crack. Member species started asking questions. Why should we follow rulers who cannot even stand on a slightly heavy planet? Why should we fear enemies who faint at 4G? The humans proved that the collective is not invincible. Maybe we don't need them anymore. In the Senate chambers, Ambassador Terrell watched his life's work crumble. He had devoted everything to the collective. He had believed in its mission, its order, its control. Now he saw the truth. The collective had survived for 12,000 years not because it was right, but because no one had been strong enough to challenge it until now. Humans will destroy everything we built, he said to the Senate. But fewer and fewer senators were listening. They were too busy wondering if they should switch sides before it was too late. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was just getting started. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, Valari Collective no longer existed. It did not fall in a single moment. It crumbled, piece by piece, world by world, species by species. Some systems joined humanity willingly, eager to escape Valari control. Others tried to fight and learned the same lesson: the purification. Fleet had learned humans could not be stopped by beings who broke under their own world's gravity. The final blow came. When the Valari homeworld itself surrendered, their leaders had no choice. Human ships orbited their planet, and human soldiers could walk on their surface without any protection at all. The Valari, in their own capital, would die within hours from the gravity humans considered normal. President Wang Soyan stood before the Galactic Broadcast Network. Every species that had ever heard of Earth was watching. Every world that had feared the Death World monsters waited to learn their fate. She was not an impressive-looking woman, short, middle-aged, with gray streaking her black hair. But her eyes held a strength that had nothing to do with physical power. People of the galaxy, she began. 1 year ago, your collective sent a fleet to destroy my world. They called us monsters. They called our planet a death world. They decided that we were too dangerous to exist. She paused, letting the words sink in across a million worlds. They were right about one thing. We are dangerous. Our world made us strong in ways you cannot understand. We can survive what kills you. We can endure what breaks you. We can fight in conditions where you cannot even stand. But they were wrong about what that means. Collective ruled this galaxy through fear. They controlled you by being the biggest, the strongest, the most advanced. When they found something they could not control, their answer was destruction. That is not strength. That is weakness, wearing a mask. True strength is not about crushing those weaker than you. True strength is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. True strength is standing up to those who would harm the innocent, even when it costs you everything. Humanity did not ask for this war. We did not seek conquest or empire. We simply refused to die when ordered. We fought back when attacked. And now, because we won, we have a choice to make. We could become the new collective. We could rule this galaxy through the same fear, the same control, the same domination. Our bodies are strong enough. Our ships are fast enough. No one could stop us. But we will not. Today, I announce the formation of the Galactic Free Alliance. Every species will govern itself. Every world will choose its own path. There will be no taxes paid to distant masters. There will be no laws imposed by those who have never walked your soil. There will be no purification fleets sent to destroy those who are different. Earth will serve as guardian, not ruler. We will protect the weak. We will stand against those who would enslave others. We will use our strength for good, not conquest. And to those who doubt us, who still see us as monsters, come to Earth. Walk on our world if you can. Breathe our air. Feel our gravity. See the planet that forged us, and then understand that beings who survive such a place do not become cruel. They become stubborn. They become loyal. They become impossible to break. The galaxy is free. Keep it that way. The broadcast ended. Across 1,000 worlds, beings who had lived under collective rule for generations wept with joy. The galaxy had a new protector, and unlike the old masters, this one did not want to control them. On Earth, Admiral Park Do-yeon stood on the observation deck of the Taegak, the newest and largest ship in the human fleet. Beside him, Dr. Kang Yoonji watched as the first free trade ships from liberated worlds approached the planet. It worked, Yoonji said softly. They're not afraid of us anymore. Some still are, Do-yeon replied. They'll probably always be afraid. We're something they've never seen before. Something they can't become, no matter how hard they try. Does that bother you? He thought about it. He remembered standing on the Busan landing platform, watching the Valari delegation break under Earth's gravity. He remembered thinking that perhaps they were right to fear humans. Perhaps being a monster was not so bad if it meant protecting what mattered. No, he said finally. Let them be afraid. Fear keeps the ambitious, cautious, and the cruel hesitant. As long as they know that hurting the innocent means facing us, the galaxy will stay peaceful. And if someone challenges that, if another empire rises, Do-yeon smiled. It was the same cold smile that Commander Choi Murray had worn before Operation Black Tide, the same smile that Sergeant Han Taeyang showed when enemies underestimated him. Then we remind them what it means to fight, gravity-born, below them. Earth turned slowly in the darkness of space. A blue marble of water and stone, wrapped in dangerous air, pulled down by crushing gravity. A death world by any galactic standard, but also a cradle, forge. A place that took soft, fragile life and turned it into something unbreakable. Humans had not conquered the galaxy. They had freed it. And they had done it not despite being monsters, but because they understood what true monsters should be: protectors, guardians, the last line of defense against those who would harm the weak. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity. Now it was learning to trust them. And that, more than any battle or victory, was humanity's greatest achievement. They had taken their strength, their power, their terrifying ability to survive what no others could. They had chosen to use it for good. The stars belonged to everyone now, but Earth's children would make sure it stayed that way, forever.